All right, a division that's been laughed at the last couple of years, and a division that my heart belongs to. This division, NFC East. Okay. First of all, Imp, do you think it's going to be as bad as it's been the last couple of years? Like a laughable division, or do you think it's going to be improved?
I mean, I just think the Giants need to start watching Sam Howell tape or Spencer Rattler tape.
Nah, but we're getting Russ, bro.
Yeah?
Yeah. Right. I have this urge trading for Russ. 3 ones, couple 2s, the Deshaun Watson package, just without all the scandal around it.
We'll see. I think this. I said this maybe a few months ago. Then I think about it. I can't remember when I was here. Not the last time, but the time before that. I think the division is going to come down to one thing or two things. Can the Cowboys defense be decent, and can the Washington offense be decent?
Oh, I like both of them.
Because I think the Cowboys offense is going to be elite, and I think the Washington defense is going to be elite.
Yeah, okay.
So it's just a matter of that other unit. Someone needs to kind of be middle of the pack, and that person.
Because those are two teams here. I think it's a 2-team race.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. Dallas was historically bad defensively when Dak went down. They were also 1-3. We spoke about it. Their one win being that Atlanta game, where Atlanta, they had 98% on the ESPN stats and info. You know when they do like the not next gen, where it's like when you're
probability.
Yeah. There you go. I was blanking.
Yeah, they know the onside kick rules, and then boom.
So that was their win. Now Dallas is going to get basically their offensive line back. Collins is back after sitting out a year.
Martin
Smith played 2 games. Martin halfway through the year he was out, and this was a team that was very consistent at O-line, and everyone was talking about the Dallas O-line like the 2016 to 2019 range, and last year it fell apart. The concern for me is defense, obviously, and the quarterback. I'm a little worried about Dak, bro.
They're saying the shoulder may be an issue the whole year, right?
The shoulder, he hasn't practiced much, if anything. It's been like sort of like 7-on-7-ish drills. Hasn't played in preseason.
He was doing he was taking the snaps and not throwing the ball. He was doing everything but throwing. So like he'll do the rushing snaps.
Yeah.
And then he'll take snaps, and then he'll literally do everything up until throw the ball.
They're playing opening night. He better be ready.
Yeah, and you're playing Tampa Bay too. That line has moved. It was a 6.5. Now it's 10. So I think that they know something about Dak and his status. So that's a big concern for me. I think their offense is going to be, I said this last year, and it was looking like it, Kansas City of the NFC. They probably have the 3 best wide receivers in the league on one team, like unit-wise, excluding tight ends and shit. But if you're just looking at Gallup, Cooper, and Lamb, I think it's
them or Tampa.
It's the best. Yeah, Tampa Bay, true. Yeah. I keep forgetting about AB. Yeah. Had more targets than Evans and Godwin in that last game.
Skill guys, weapons you talking about?
I'm talking about just wide receivers.
Trio,
there you go. Yeah. Trio, I think, excluding running backs, I think it might be the best 3 in the league.
Yeah.
And I'm a little bit worried about their defense. They spent 6 draft picks on the defensive side. And look, they bring in Dan Quinn, a guy who maybe fits the mold of a better coordinator than he was a head coach, but also I feel like we'd be rude to him.
He got to a Super Bowl.
He got to a Super Bowl.
He did.
Yeah. So, I'm just saying this could be a stopgap year for Dan Quinn. Mm-hmm. He could come into Dallas, turn it around, right? You could see this happening and him getting another job next year.
He might have more work. Those past few years in Atlanta really damaged his reputation. Like, they were a bit of a laughingstock. So I think he's gonna have more work to do. Him and McCarthy, they got to repair their reputations.
Got it.
Yeah, but Alan, how you feel about Dallas?
I just wonder where they're going to get their pass rush. Like, Lawrence hasn't quite delivered since the contract. You got that monster extension. They're still depending on Randy Gregory, who's been in the league since 2015, which I find remarkable.
Yeah, I said that about Lawrence when he got that big deal. And anytime I'm critical about the Cowboys, I'm immediately a hater. But that dude literally got paid because of Eric Flowers. Like, there were Sunday Night Football games.
No, he was good. Like, he was consistently good, DeMarcus Lawrence. But I think maybe he was a product of Dallas having a really good all-around D-line when David Irving was in his prime. I forgot who else was on that D-line. But no, Lawrence for like 3-4 years was good. I don't know. It was like the Mo Wilkerson effect. He got paid and just think like, and he isn't a total liability. It's just you expect a lot more from a guy who's paid like a top 5 DN. But I just have questions of the D-line. I don't know what they're going to do with their linebackers. They got like so many linebackers. Jalen Smith hasn't been quite the same. Leighton Vander Esch is a huge question mark. And then how they're going to utilize Micah Parsons. and then the secondary is still kind of young. They have a lot of pieces on this defense that are intriguing, but there's like no stability there at all.
Good thing you have a seasoned coordinator there to figure it
All right,
out.
hey, look, I'm
If
pro.
he loves head coaches,
I love
that
Dan
become
Quinn.
coordinators.
I'm big pro Dan Quinn. It's just there are questions about his scheme and just what he's done for the past 3 years. NFL or sports in general is what have you done for me lately? And Dan Quinn's been a bit of a punchline. That's how it is.
By the way, I called him Dexter Lawrence. I'm thinking about the one on the Giants, DeMarcus.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you got about Dallas? I mean, you kind of touched on it there.
Yeah,
right?
I just.
Are
I
they-
really don't know who's gonna win the division because they both the NFC East plays the AFC and the NFC West.
Mhm.
Tough sledding. So
Yeah, I think it's gonna be another.
It's gonna be another
It's
season,
gonna be another
right?
year of jokes. Like I don't expect any team in this division to be particularly great.
it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a battle. I think it's gonna be a neck,
battle.
a neck and neck
But the thing
battle.
is, it's always been a battle. It's just battle of mediocrity.
Yeah.
It's just
So
I don't have them winning the division. I
Yeah.
got Washington winning the division. I think Washington is a team you got to really take seriously. I know Fitzpatrick has never made the playoffs,
bingo.
right?
Okay.
I know you were texting me about it. He's only won 6 or more games once. That was with the Jets. I don't think it's fair to hold that against him, though.
Wait, it's not fair to hold it against him that he's been a journeyman quarterback his entire career.
I think every situation is different, and this is the best one he's been in.
And I hear what you're saying, but do you think you don't think that's a reflection of him?
It could be, yeah.
it's good,
Like-
but he's come off a good season. Like he was good in Miami
Good enough that he split time.
because they were pushing for Tua. They
No,
got
I
the top
understand
And
10
that.
they
pick.
had to play Tua,
Yeah.
especially when you're looking at Burrow and Herbert.
I don't think they had to play him. Think about this for a second. They weren't forced to play Tua. He was coming off of an injury and he was a rookie with no offseason. I'd argue they had no pressure to play Tua.
It was very controversial for Tua to start considering Miami was good. Like they were functioning just fine.
That's a hell of a point.
I'm just saying the idea that he was that you had to play him, not true. Second of all, I can't see you like the Fitzpatrick thing about not making the playoffs to me is important. I think,
But has he ever been on a team this good?
but that's my point. No good team wants him as their quarterback. He's always been a bridge. He's always been a stopgap.
Yeah,
Which
he is.
Which is
Yeah.
what he is for this team,
Yeah.
too. We're not saying that he's going to be there for 4 more years.
That 2015 Jets team wasn't good. They won 10 games.
Yeah.
I think most years they would have made the playoffs. It's just, I don't know, AFC was really good that year. But that 2015 when they had Decker, Marshall, Fitzpatrick had great numbers.
I have to be honest with you. Over the weekend, I rewatched the Buccaneers game when Washington played the Bucks.
Well, Heineke.
I like Heineke
All right, it's one game.
Yo, Josh.
against the team that won the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Yeah, Josh loves him, too.
No, I'm not. I'm not saying.
He's in.
I'm not
he
saying
did his
he's the
thing.
future.
Yeah, he did his thing. Like,
And you know who else?
More.
You know who else likes him a lot, too? His teammates. They were, like, tweeting about him and posting, like, yo, we brought our guy back. This was before they got Fitzpatrick. So there's something there, too. Now, here's the thing, man. Last year, he was their best quarterback, I think. I know it was one game. That's very fair. But it was against the Super Bowl champs, for sure. But look, they threw out Haskins, Kyle Allen, and for as great as a story as it was for Alex Smith, dude was not an NFL quarterback last year.
And dump off Dallas.
You were talking about Dak in practice just doing handoffs. Like it's like they didn't want him to throw. So I personally don't think it's fair to hold that against Fitzpatrick because this is a completely different scenario. He's still a stopgap, like what Alan was saying. Top to bottom, it's the best team he's been on. You got McLaurin, you got Curtis Samuel. Logan Thomas was like a top 5 tight end in fantasy last year, and it's so wild to think about, but he was. And I'm big on Gibson this year too. He's a hell of a running
I think
back.
it's the
Also,
best opportunity too. Like in this division, I don't think he's ever been in such a weak division. Like it's there for the taking. So.
I liked William Jackson in the offseason and Curtis Samuel.
Yeah,
in the
they
offseason.
needed it. They need that William Jackson.
I think they needed both.
Yeah.
And Samuel too, another guy to complement Terry McLaurin. So for me, I think Washington is a serious contender. And I know it's weird because it's Fitzpatrick and it's also a team from the NFC East, but I personally like to look at all scenarios differently, and I think this is a completely different one for him. So I'm not going to hold it against him that he has never made the playoffs. And your point is very fair, and I'm probably going to steal that take about Tua because, shoot, you didn't need to play him if you had a guy like Fitzpatrick. But defensively, they'll probably be the best defense in football, I think. Not a hot take. A lot of people are saying that. I got Washington at 10-7. And how about this? I think upgrade at head coach, despite having the same head coach, because last year he had the chemo and the cancer.
Yeah.
That was a distraction.
To say the least.
Had to be. Yeah. Right? So, and he's been very outspoken to the players about getting vaccinated. Again, going back to the vaccine stuff. But him having the cancer and going through that battle last year, it had to be emotionally draining for the team.
Yeah.
So I think Washington is going to be a problem. I got them at 10-7 winning this division.
Same. I think they'll win the division.
Yeah, I probably will have Washington winning the division, but it'll be close.
Yeah.
Does Dallas and Washington play each other as the last game of the season?
That's a good question.
If I had to bet, I bet you they do.
Washington versus Dallas. Let's see the schedule here. Alan, start telling me about how you feel about my Giants.
I was more optimistic about the Giants a month ago, and then just this past month, just seeing headline after headline, just stories about how their offenses look completely dysfunctional. Galladay's injury, offensive lineman retiring. I think this past month, no team has had their stock more damaged than the Giants, just based on training camp reports. Which I know people don't want to put too much significance, but when you see these things, look, it's gonna hold weight. So I still think defense should be among, borderline top 10, if not top 10. I think they've really built something nicely there. Secondary in particular, I think is gonna be very good. It's just offensively, it's gonna be a struggle. Like, it's just, you have an offense coordinator who's as vanilla as it gets. You have a quarterback that's turnover prone as it gets, and you have this amalgamation of playmakers that could really create damage. Like, they really do have a talented group of players. It's just, how are they going to be utilized? Is Evan Ingram just going to run curl routes all the time? Is Sterling Shepard actually going to be utilized? Is it going to be 4 or 6 targets a game for Galladay? Is it going to be a screen here to Tony, and then we're not going to see him for 20 snaps? Like, it's a lot cluster, and I think roster-wise, they do have a good roster. It's just not crafted properly, and I don't mind Judge. I think he's a decent coach. It's just, I just don't know what to make of the whole Jason Garrett thing, and it's a real bummer.
Yeah, just make sure you call him coach after the press conference.
Oh, God.
That was so cringeworthy. Let me say one thing. The Kadarius Toney pick, I was high on it when it happened, and then you just read and read and read. It's not looking like a great pick. They have issues on the offensive line. And yet you throw $17 million at Galladay, and then you take a Darius Toney in the first round. It's like there's some other holes to fill potentially, and you went with a lavish pick, or what's the word when you pick a wide receiver when you have other needs? It's like they
paid that pick out of luxury, and it's like, how are you a luxury team when you didn't make the playoffs and are still?
You make that pick if you're the Chiefs, and you're like, I'll take CEH, add more offense to our team when we just won the Super Bowl.
We're set everywhere else.
Yeah,
what's a luxury pick when you didn't make the playoffs?
Yeah,
I couldn't agree with you more about feeling better about them a month ago.
Yeah,
too many question marks around the offense, and it's all on the quarterback.
Yeah,
because I feel the same way. I look at that roster and I'm like, damn, they're pretty stacked. They have a lot of talent on this team.
I didn't even mention Darius Slayton.
Who underachieved last year? No,
who, Slayton? I think it's just product of the offense. I think I saw a stat. Daniel Jones and Colt McCoy combined for 22 completions of 20 yards or more.
Yeah, but he's the best deep ball thrower in the NFL.
Yeah, I don't know
per PFF.
I don't
Come
know,
on, man.
I don't know what social media manager posted that.
Let's.
But it's just Darius Slayton's a deep threat, and you only have a team that completed 22 passes of more than 20 yards or more. So it's just his role there. He's in a tough spot.
I brought up the Washington schedule. This is pretty wild. I don't think I've ever seen this before. Week 14, home Dallas, at Philly, at Dallas, home Philly, at Giants.
Yeah, that's 5
straight games against the division.
Atlanta actually had something similar back in 2017, the division. I don't know why they do that. I don't think.
Yeah,
it's
didn't
right.
they play the Saints 1 week, someone else, and then
they play the Saints on week 14 Thursday night, then they play Christmas Eve 2 weeks later on week 16.
Yeah. So going back to the Giants. They finally get a wide receiver that's an alpha. They haven't had one since OBJ. And dude pulls the same hamstring that caused them to miss time majority of last year. Offensive line, per PFF, what is it ranked?
32nd.
32nd. There's only 32 teams, folks. Per Sharp Football Analysis, what are they?
29th.
31st. So
I
it's
tried
like,
to.
now look, I will say this. Do you think, or I should ask you guys this, do you think it's fair to say that we can't fully judge Joe Judge and Daniel Jones because of how bad this offensive line has been? Or is it Daniel Jones is just who he is, put him down for 30 turnovers a year?
I think he would look better if the offensive line was improved, but I still think the turnovers are the turnovers, and they'd be made one way or the other. But I could be wrong. I don't want to like sit here and project. So
It could be like that. But it's just Judge. He's part of the personnel process. Like they made the decision to draft Andrew Thomas. If Andrew Thomas doesn't show progression this year, that's a bad look because you look at the tackles in that class.
Everyone else has been solid.
Yeah, or more than solid.
Becton
Becton and
Wirfs
Wirfs have been all pros.
And even
Jedrick Wills has looked good.
Yeah, I mean, that's why Cleveland played so well last year, too. It's
Yeah.
like, fuck, you got the worst one, and you took him first of the bunch. So last year, the Giants clearly overperformed. And the one thing that would get me angry is everyone's like, yo, man, they almost made the – it's like, bro, they won 6 games last year. They almost made the playoffs because the division was a laughingstock.
yeah,
But I do think Judge, year one, he didn't get to meet the team until, like, camp started because, you know, no OTAs. That was, like, the heart of COVID. But we did spend a lot of time for a team that I think is just going to win 6 games. 6-11, I think, is what the Giants do.
yeah. I actually think the Eagles are going to do better than the Giants this year.
Oh, so yeah, Giants in the basement.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I think
I want to bet them they're 28-1 to have the worst record in football. But I think that Detroit and Houston is going to be so bad.
Yeah. I'm a fan of what Philly can do on offense, I think.
Okay.
Great
Well,
offensive line.
They're getting guys back.
Very good offensive line.
Like so Brooks and Lane Johnson. Yeah, that right side's nasty.
Year 2 of Rieger. Devontae Smith, they're already saying, is probably one of the best route runners in the NFL. Already they're saying that. You have a good running back in Miles Sanders. You have a good tight end, an above-average tight end. I've said this, I think, 3-4 times on this podcast already, that they're going to build the offense around Jalen Hurts. And I think that they're going to have a good offense. Their head coach was a wide receiver coach.
It's just he's such an unknown Sirianni.
Yeah, but I mean,
There was no fanfare for him when he got interviewed. People
some of the best coaches are completely unknown. Think of Brandon Staley.
It could be it. Yeah.
Brandon Staley was a D2. I think Brandon Staley was a defensive D2 head coach in college.
It could go, but there's plenty of reasons why people are skeptical of Philly.
Because he had a bad press conference.
No, it's not. No, dude, I'm talking about the roster.
The press conference was bad.
It was
We're
absolutely
going to
bad.
have our
It's
system.
absolutely bad, but look at the roster. Like their receivers have been non-NFL caliber for like 3 years. We're talking about Rieger. Rieger did not look good at all last year. Devontae Smith, there are questions about will his size translate. As great as a route runner he is, he might have issues when it comes to corners pressing him. Sanders hasn't been all that great like past year. It's just there's question, and then that defense is very old, and that trade for Darius Slay is definitely not looking good. I feel like he got beat a lot more than people expected.
Yeah.
I just feel
And
like
the defense is older. Like Fletcher Cox, you're older. Brandon Graham, you're older.
yeah.
They had the most injured offensive line in the NFL last year, and they don't have a bye week until week 14. They're not favored in any of those first 13 games.
They've been plagued by injuries. I feel like the past 3 seasons.
That's fair.
How do we
Right?
feel about Hurts, though? He strikes me as someone that's a better fantasy guy than he will be a better real, like, life NFL quarterback. Think about it, bro. He got ran out of Alabama for Tua. And some people are not high on Tua. And if you look at these reports that came out the last couple of days, Miami's not that high on Tua, or else they wouldn't be trying to make a trade for a dude who might not play in the NFL again.
I think what Hurts did in college was sensational. He wins a national championship, right? His first year, then gets benched. Then Tua gets hurt, comes back and wins the SEC championship game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, then has to sit behind Wentz, comes in, plays solid. Like, he's had a crazy whirlwind of a career from towards the end of Alabama till now. And I think he's kind of rolled with the punches, and I think he's going to get an opportunity to show what he could do, whether it's for the Eagles or whether it's an audition for another team. I think he'll be an NFL quarterback. I really do.
Okay.
How do you have this division playing out?
Redskins, Cowboys, Giants, Eagles. I do think the Cowboys get the last playoff spot.
Okay. How about you, Imp?
I think the Giants are last in the division. I think Washington wins the division. And yeah, I think Cowboys get one of the wild cards.
I got Washington, Dallas, Giants, Eagles. Eagles 13-4.
I mean, 4-13.
No, I got them 3-14 actually.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, even worse. And,
No, because you said 13-4.
13-4. Yeah, completely different. I don't have Dallas as a playoff team.
That's fair. I'm like on the fence.
The NFC after 6 teams is very, very questionable. Like that's why I noticed the NFC. Like that's why I'll never be crazy about this extra playoff spot because you have a very suspect team making it in both, and Dallas is pretty much my suspect pick to get that 7th seed.